and assorted visits to the world's largest fill-in-the-blanks. Benoit Inwood, real name Benjamin, was my best friend in high school. Awkward with few friends to my social butterfly, stocky to my whippet thin, gap-wearing square to my thrift store wacky. Benoit was the kind of kid who did things not because he wanted to, but because he would piss off those who cared about him. Poorly chosen girlfriends, flunked courses, screaming matches with his mentally handicapped brother, Benoit was a piece of work. But I loved him, and we made a good odd couple team. So it wasn't that much of a surprise when I learned that he was going to college at UAF, University of Alaska in Fairbanks. Probably because it was the farthest location he could get from his parents. That, and they had a good history program. 4 years later, I got a phone call from Ben's mother, Mama Linda. Ben had graduated from UAF and was living in Anchorage, with a son out of wedlock. I knew this, but hadn't spoken to the guy in years. Ben, his baby mama Erin, and the little guy Ari were flying to Brooklyn to move in with Ben's family. But first, Ben had to drive his car, plus stuff, to the lower 48. Would I like to help him? Would I? If you ever want to go to Alaska, the best way of getting there is on your best friend's parents' credit card. We hadn't been close in years, but somehow I was the guy for the job. I headed up there in June of '02 and spent my first day meeting the little one and helping to pack the Midnight Blue Acura. Little to no dilly-dallying. Morning of day 2 consisted of breakfast and Benoit's fumbling blessing on the engine, and we were gone. Our route was to zigzag across the Yukon Territory, skirt British Columbia, and plummet down through Alberta into the good old US of A. This will be easier this way. Once our tires had kissed the solid gravel of American highways, we'd keep at it south, through Montana, skirt the edge of Wyoming, then boogie east. To and through South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. We weren't stupid. We had no need for speed. We decided to take our time and drink in the sights of our pleasant northern neighbor, the arid west and fat middle of our great American country. We learned the value of a good night's sleep after eating the worst pizza of our lives in White Horse, Yukon Territory. Then sleeping in the car in a Walmart parking lot. From that point on, we stayed in cheap motels and took turns driving a total of 10 hours each day, bickering the whole way. Canada's magnificent vistas with peculiar names zoomed through our open windows. Destruction Bay, Muncho Lake, the original Dawson's Creek.
Yeah!
We drove right up to black bears and left them scavenging for better nutrients than 2 bozos from Brooklyn. The CD player broke on the second day. We were left listening to religious radio and praying for NPR. Somewhere along the nothingness of Wyoming, I announced to Benoit that I wanted to see Mount Rushmore. He was pissed at something, probably the person I always had been and the person I was becoming. But since I made up 50% of the driving and the decisions, and since he lost at our rock, paper, scissors match, we went out of our way to check out the rock. Unfortunately, Mount Rushmore was a big blah de blah. I was hoping for a mystical experience. It wasn't. While consulting my copy of Weird Roadside America, I discovered, to Benjamin's dismay and my delight, that our barreling eastward route ran right through a handful of the world's biggest fill-in-the-blanks. We saw the world's largest John and Green giant statue in Blue Earth, Minnesota. One more time, guys. It works better if you have a long-form projector. We ran from the world's largest replica of the world's smallest T-Rex sculpture, somewhere in Wisconsin. I'm going to repeat that. The world's largest replica of the world's smallest T-Rex sculpture, somewhere in Wisconsin. Benoit's holding Mr. Clowney, a ceramic clown I bought in Alaska and drove with us all the way through. Finally broke last week.
The one that ended up in our yard?
Yeah, in our yard. My brother knocked him over with her bicycle at a barbecue on Memorial Day. So Mr. Clowney bit the dust. We looked dejected at the world's largest six-pack. The beer tanks were mid-paint job. See that?
Aww.
We danced in time to the world's largest cuckoo clock in Wilmot, Ohio.
Yeah!
Benoit doing the oompa. That's me doing the oompa.
Yeah!
But the most inspiring world's largest fill-in-the-blank was the concrete outline of the USS South Dakota in Sioux Falls. A little bit of the historical background. The concrete outline of the USS South Dakota is the anchor and chain, flags mast, one original 16-inch gun, and captain's quarters of the most decorated ship in World War II, surrounded by a 680-foot-long concrete outline marking the ship's original perimeter, located next to a soccer field, located next to a Walmart in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. This is the concrete outline. Okay? For those of you not up to speed on your World War II history, it was the most decorated ship. And South Dakota would have preferred to import the entire battleship, but, you know, South Dakota is a landlocked state. So, the resulting minimalist commemoration of American might is a weird, strangely moving tribute. It made me proud to be an American, and it made Ben want to get home. While hanging out with my best friend from high school, while demanding that we stop at all of these ridiculous spots to check out the bizarre and offbeat, not only did it reinforce my notion of always being a little bit weirder than my childhood friends, but it also reinforced the life I would eventually live. All these excursions to the world's largest fill-in-the-blanks felt to me like a prelude of the type of person I was going to become. The New York City tour guide, the creative New Yorker who wants to experience odd and fascinating things, the human being interested in telling stories for a living. Ben and I bickered. We fought. We rock, paper, scissored our way across this damn country. We stopped in the Wall Drug. We took pictures of the rainbows in the Badlands. We visited the cosmos. Ooh, the cosmos. The transmission fell out of the poor actor as we were leaving Ohio. We had to transfer all of Benoit's stuff plus our bitter back and forth to a rental. We pulled into Brooklyn 9 days after we departed, sick of each other and tired of moving so much while staying totally still. At last check-in, Benoit's living with his wife and son in Shaker Heights, Ohio. And I make a living as a tour guide, standing still while the world whizzes around me. As a New York City tour guide, I like to give tours the way I like to travel. I like to go long and hard and show the obvious, like the Statue of Liberty, but also show people the small pride and joys of neighborhoods, like the Bushwick Street Art Park on Vandervoort Place in Brooklyn. Because it's due to the unique and wonderful parts of this enormous country that make it a marvelous place to live in. Thank you.